JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today is the 11th of March, 2020. So, yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts. We'll have a look at a few setups. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, also just before we jump in, a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. And yep, I believe you can find some useful information here for yourselves, guys. So visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there. Now then, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. A quick update. I've looked at this one this morning, and to be honest, I kept looking at this one throughout this whole week. And looking at the daily chart, you can see that yes, still we remain below this downside resistance line. What I was also mentioning this morning, that in a way there is a possibility to see a bit of a move higher here again, but as you can see from this current activity, the index is just running flat. It did have an outburst initially in the morning, tried to get back above the 6,053 territory here, but as you can see, it kind of drifted back down, and now it's kind of running flat basically, so just slightly below that psychological 6,000 zone. It's not even moving lower, it's not even going towards the current lowest point of this week, but it kind of just remains near that psychological 6,000 mark. Now if this gets a drop below the 5,900 zone, now this is where we will aim, as I've mentioned this morning, this is where we will aim for that lowest point of June, which is around the 5,788 zone. So for now, excuse me, that we'll keep an eye on that level. In order to examine some higher levels on this one, on the FTSE, well, ideally, of course, it's pretty straightforward. We need to see a break of this steep downside line before kind of getting comfortable with higher levels. Let me just jump into a 4-hour chart. But as you can see, for now, even if it travels higher, still this could be seen as a temporary correction before another leg of selling. So that's why we need to see a push above the 6,460 level before kind of targeting slightly higher levels. NASDAQ 100. Now the market is already open. It is trading on the lower side. Let me just jump into a daily chart on this one very quickly. So although it is on the lower side, still it's kind of not really far, well, it's not really close enough to the lows of this week, which were around the 7,912 zone. So for now, we will keep an eye on this level here at the 7,912. If we would get a nice good daily close below this, then well, this would confirm of course a forthcoming lower low, and further declines are possible. But given that yesterday we had a nice rally here to the upside, it closed in the positive zone, still there could be a possibility maybe to see the index kind of moving higher at some point. The only problem here is of course the 200-day EMA here, and we can see that the price is currently balancing below it, so this kind of creates this little negative atmosphere here. But still, the bulls might be happy if we get a push above the yesterday's high and near the 8,376 mark. So if we get a push above this, then yes, potentially more buyers could be joining in. So that's why keep your eyes on the high of last week. Oh, sorry, high of last day, yesterday, near the 8,376 mark. If we get a nice push above this, then yes, we will aim for slightly higher levels. For now, we remain somewhat more on the neutral side, but because for us to consider further declines, as I said, we need to see a nice good drop below the 7,912 zone. Ideally, a daily close below that. Silver. Now, I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, and actually, let me just get rid of the drawings here, and we'll probably look at this one, or should I say we'll have a fresh look at this one right now. So as you can see, unlike gold, which is kind of really sitting at the highs, silver actually is not really performing that well. However, of course, as we know, sometimes silver does pick up more interest than gold, so that's why we're not really writing this one off. But how we're going to look at this one right now is that silver is currently stuck in this little range here between the 16.53 mark, roughly around here on the downside, and on the upside it's stuck around here near well, below this area here around the 18.85, or even better, this level right here, which is the high of the highest point of February, and that's around the 18.94 mark. So basically, for now, this is kind of a little range here that the commodity is stuck in, and given the fact that it's closer to the lower side of this little range, we will aim for the downside. But for us to get comfortable with lower levels, to be honest, ideally we would prefer to see a nice good close, a daily close below this, at least below the 16.53 mark, because yes, we do have this lowest point of March here as well. We'll keep that on our radars, and that's roughly around the 16.39 zone. If we get a nice good drop below this, then yep, this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and further declines could be possible, where we will then aim for this lowest the lowest point of August 2019, and that's roughly around the 15.92 zone. So again, guys, for now, be very careful here. For now, we will remain somewhat neutral. From the very short-term perspective, and in terms of the upside, what you could do here is keep an eye on the high of this week, which is around the 17.94 zone. 17.59 zone. A nice good push above this would place the price above all of its EMAs here, the 21, the 100, and the 200 EMAs, and then yes, we could see this one climbing further north, at least up until the 18.85 zone. Again, for now, like I said, we are a little bit more on the neutral side, and we're keeping a close eye on these levels here. On the downside, we're keeping an eye on the 16.53 and 16.39 levels, and on the upside, from the very short-term perspective, we're keeping an eye on the 17.59 zone. We need to see a breakthrough one of these before kind of considering a further directional move. AUDNZD. Now, also a daily chart in this one. As you can see, after trying to push above the 200-day EMA here, it did get a few overshoots, but didn't really kind of stay above this level. So as you can see, after that, it kind of drifted back down, but found support not far from this level here, the lowest point of January to this year, and that's roughly around the 1.0308 zone. Of course, it did overshoot that level a little bit, and found some support around the 1.0304. So in other words, we will keep an eye on this territory, or in other words, we will keep an eye on the 1.03 level, because if we get a nice good drop below that, then yes, we will aim for further declines. Don't get me wrong, we do have a good area of support around here, near the lowest point of August 2019, and that's roughly around the 1.0265. Again, we need to see a nice good drop below that 1.03 zone in order order to aim for lower levels. Again, you can see that this area here kind of is a very strong one. So all this area between the 1.0265 and the 1.03, it acted as a very good area of support previously here throughout 2019. So yep, for now we'll keep an eye on that one, but if it starts failing, then well, I mean, this could look ugly for AUDNZD here, and this pair could start drifting further south. Of course, don't get me wrong, in terms of the upside, we would like to see a push above the this barrier here, the 1.0532, before kind of aiming for higher levels. But of course, we do not want to miss all this kind of space here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to keep an eye on this little area of resistance, which previously acted as a good area of support here on the 2nd of March, and that's roughly around the 1.0372 zone. So that's approximately around there, because as you can see today the pair did overshoot it slightly, but quickly kind of was quick to reverse back to the downside here and drifted lower. So that's why we would like to see a push above this area here around the 1.0372, 76 zone, somewhere around here. A push above this could lead towards slightly higher levels, and then yep, we could aim for the 1.0532 zone, which is the currently the highest point of March, and then it would be interesting to see if we can actually create a new high for March. But that's of course in the scenario if we get a nice reversal here back above the 1.0376. For now, the kind of the short-term trend is more to the downside, but again, we need to see some confirmation breaks here before we could consider some lower levels. For now, we're keeping a close eye on this 1.03 level. We want to see if it can hold. If it cannot, then yep, further declines are possible. USDCAD, very quickly on this, so continues to push nicely to the upside. So for now, as you've noticed, guys, I'm sticking to the daily chart because we do have some let's say extreme market conditions right now. So as you can see here, we have better kind of visibility of some levels when we look at the daily chart. So after we have accelerated here to the upside on Monday, after kind of reaching the high on Monday of the 1.3761 zone, yesterday the pair drifted further north and tested the another area of resistance, and let me just quickly put that on the chart. So up, I hope I managed to capture this one. There we go, the 1.3796 zone, approximately around there. Or actually, let me just jump into a 4-hour chart, and we'll see a much clearer picture. So yes, that was roughly around the 1.3796 zone. So basically the pair managed to find resistance around there, and now the big question here is, can we actually see maybe some correction lower? Now I will stick to the same idea I've mentioned in the beginning of this week. We would like to see a nice good drop on the daily candle here below the 1.3662 zone, which is near the highs of December 2018. If we get the daily candle dropping and staying below the 1.3662, then yes, we will aim for a larger correction to the downside up until this upside support line taken from the low of the 7th of January. For now, excuse me, it is a little bit difficult here, so that's why for now we're waiting for this level here to be broken before kind of considering some lower areas. In terms of the upside, well, even on the daily chart, we are quite overstretched, and you can see that this on our oscillators, the RSI and the MACD as well, that they're quite kind of high already. But let's say if this pushes above the this current high of this week around the 1.3796 zone, then yes, we will aim for higher levels and we will aim for further upside. Of course, the 1.38 level is there, and slightly above, and then we could consider maybe even higher levels. And now in terms of higher levels, I mean, we would need to go back all the way here to 2016, and basically we would need to have a look at this situation here. Let me just quickly capture a few levels. So basically we would be looking at somewhere around here, around the 1.3859 zone, which is the high of the 23rd of February 2016, guys. So or should I say actually the 24th of February 2016. So that's going to be our next level if we get a push above the current high of this week. For now, don't get me wrong, again, as I'll repeat myself, we are quite overstretched here to the upside, so maybe a bit of a correction could be possible, but we will examine that this idea only if we get a drop below the highs of December 2018 here, and then yes, we will aim for that little short-term upside support line. EURJPY. Now, for this one, let me just jump back into a 4-hour chart. And this is the situation that we're seeing here. So, of course, the pair continues to trade below this downside resistance line here, taken from the high of the 16th of January this year. But at the same time, after kind of finding good support this week near the this little level here, around the 116.10, the pair drifted back south and traveled higher, found good resistance around the 100 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and kind of started moving sideways. So basically we can see that the pair is kind of coiling up a little bit, forming somewhat of a potential bullish pennant here. We do have our pole, which is this acceleration here, and now, like I said, the pair seems to be getting into a bit of a squeeze. So, but all this pattern kind of reminds us of a bullish pennant formation. So, in a way, guys, of course, don't get me wrong, we need some confirmation breaks before we could aim for higher levels. So, we will start looking at the upside if we get a push above the 119.23 zone here. Of course, we'll aim for the current highest point of this this week, which is around the 119.49 zone. And if that gets broken, then yes, higher levels could be met. The only thing is, let's not forget about this downside resistance line, which I've mentioned before, and as long as the rate remains below this, still the overall trend is more to the downside. So in a way, the idea here could be somewhat like this, basically, guys, where we could see a pop higher, but if it struggles to push above this downside line, then we could see another round of selling. In case this doesn't do this, and in case this doesn't pop above the this barrier here, well, to be honest, what we'd like to see here is a drop below yesterday's low here, which is around the 117.45 zone. A nice good drop below this could lead to further declines, and we could then aim for the current low of this week, which is around the 116.10 zone. So again, guys, for now, of course, from the very short-term perspective, we are more bullish than bearish, but only up until this downside line. So in a way, like I said, it would be interesting to see if this can push above the 119.23 zone. If it can, then yes, we will aim for this downside line, which if holds, could lead to another round of selling. EURUSD, finally on this one, this morning I talked about this one, and probably I'll stay on the 4-hour chart here. So what I was talking about was that if the rate remains below the 1.1355 zone, then there is a chance for this one to drift lower again. For those who are more on the cautious side, you could wait for a drop below yesterday's low, which is around the 1.1273 territory. Again, for now, you can see that everything's kind of working fine here. Well, in the beginning of this week, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this 1.1355 zone, because if it acts as a good area of support, then we could see a nice push higher. But if it breaks, then yep, further declines could be possible. We could go for a bit of a larger correction to the downside here, because let's not forget that still we remain above this upside support line taken from the low of the 21st of February. Again, guys, like I said, if you're more on the cautious side, you could just wait for a drop below yesterday's low, which was around the 1.1273 mark. A nice good drop below this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and yep, we could start considering a deeper move towards this upside support line. In case this by any chance climbs back above the 1.1355 zone and stays above here, well, I mean, this could in a way put these levels that we saw here in the beginning of this week, could put them back on the radar, like for example the 1.1496 zone, which was tested on Monday, and then yep, of course, likely above that we do have that psychological 115 zone, or even the 1.1514 level. And but again, for now, from the very short-term perspective, I would say if this barrier here, the 1.1355 zone, continues to hold, well, keep your eyes on some lower levels. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 14:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.